I think we're on. I think we are. Yes, we're on. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, everyone. Some wild things have been happening in the world in the last, since I've seen you guys last this morning at 10 o'clock or whatever it was. We are talking about wartime preparations and property requisitions. And now when we talk about property requisitions, I like to use that as property confiscations. Now, before I get into this live, also, I may or may not be touching on aliens, or I may save that for tomorrow. It depends how the time goes and depends what you guys are wanting to talk about. But there's more news out today, and there's more talk about aliens, basically. And I'm just going to throw it out there now because I know a lot of people don't want to talk about this. People got their heads in the sands. I'm calling it now. If you don't think that there is intelligence life in the cosmos, your IQ level is right where it should be. Also, I'm calling this again. I'm calling this right now. I think in the next very soon, we are going to get a huge alien disclosure. I promise you guys. Remember when I told, and look, and it may even be World War G, and I'm talking about World War Galactic, aliens coming from another planet, all that sort of stuff, okay? That is coming. I don't know if I'm going to do this as a live stream today, or I might do that as a live stream tomorrow afternoon. I don't know. Depends where you guys go on the chat. But what we're going to be talking about primarily today is wartime preparations. Governments in Europe are now putting into force wartime preparations where they can confiscate or requisition your property. So maybe you've got a big house in a key location. Maybe you've got a tractor. Maybe you've got a fleet of buses. Whatever that is, the militaries across Europe are now putting in preparations. Sorry, let me turn the chat on. Putting in preparations to confiscate your stuff, right? In times of war, this is what happens. It happened in the United Kingdom in WW2, and it's going to happen again. So I'm going to start with this live stream, guys, and I'm going to be talking about wartime preparations, the warning that we all have now. Is anybody under the illusion that we are not heading towards World War III? Because I'm now floating World War G. G as in galactic. Remember when I floated the idea that the United Kingdom will be consumed by the United States? Maybe 2 years ago, I was talking about that. I said, listen, I did a live stream. I was down in the basement. I need to get down in the basement and tidy it up. Actually, it's a right mess. I was talking to you guys and I did a live stream and I was quite clear. I said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am seeing a direct path now for the United States to take over the United Kingdom. That seems inevitable right now, doesn't it? That's like the inevitability. I'm not interested in that anymore. I'm interested in what comes next. And I'm saying right now, ladies and gentlemen, on public record, all these videos will be downloaded, uploaded, whatever. I'm saying that we are heading for a huge alien disclosure, maybe even World War G. G as in galactic. Right, William. William, okay, with all due respect, William, keep the biblical scripture to a minimum, okay? Keep the biblical, right? You've done one. I've shared it, all right? Don't keep spamming me with biblical scripture, William, all right? I'm just gonna put you in. I'm literally, I'm gonna put. I don't know what to do with. Right, William, I'm gonna put you in timeout now, okay? Because I don't trust you, William, right? I don't trust William, all right? And that's nothing. It's nothing against anyone. I just don't trust William not to keep spamming. Right, let me start my opening monologue, guys, and talk about what's happening with this. Guys, look, this is the mainstream now. I'm not making this up. Wartime preparations are being made right now. Wartime preparations are being made right now where the government can take your property. But only in the times of war. Only in times of war, ladies and gentlemen. Only in times of war. So this is a story from Norway but I'm going to let you guys know how this relates to people in the United Kingdom. Because let's not think what's happening in Europe is disconnected from here in the United Kingdom. So somebody called Nicole just jumped up then and what? Stacey Brazzer as well. She wants to join. No, Stacey Brazzer. Listen, guys, there's a lot of people wanting to join on TikTok. I don't mind if you guys want to. And Paranormal Host wants to join. Guys, send me a message on TikTok if you want to co-host. I've got no problems with it. Literally, send me a message. Tell me what to talk about. We'll make it happen. So listen up, ladies and gentlemen. In Norway, our quiet, sensible, fantastic, amazing neighbor to the north, and I know a few Norwegians when I used to work for NGOs, non-government organizations. All the Norwegians were very sensible. They were like, Norwegians are great people. So you know when I say Norwegian fishermen, that is like the biggest contradict. You know, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? When I say when something happens in the United Kingdom, and I always say, oh, it's the Norwegian fishermen. That is because that is the most ironic thing you could think of. Like Norwegians, like, you know, my experience of Norwegians is that they are very trustworthy. That's, you know, I think Norwegians are very trustworthy. I probably know 7 or 8 Norwegians, and they're all great people, really trustworthy, really sensible. They don't mess about. No, not like us crazy Brits, and not like you crazy Americans as well. So our quiet, sensible neighbor to the north, they have just dropped something straight out of the Cold War playbook. Starting today, this Monday, thousands of ordinary Norwegians are opening their posts to find letters from the military. I know what you're thinking. Is it a bill? Is it a tax demand? Is it a parking fine? No. These letters are letters of war. These are wartime letters. In the event of war, we may need to take your house, your car, your boat, your tractor, or your machinery. Give me your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle. Something like that, maybe. I don't know. 13,500 of these notices were going out for 2026 alone. Most, and here's the kicker, right, guys? Okay. Most are renewals from last year because guess what? This isn't new in Norway. It's now routine to renew these letters. The letters have no effect in peacetime. However, in wartime, they're not seizing anything today. They're simply saying, we know you got shit, and if things go south, we're taking your shit. That's what they're saying, basically, in defense of the realm. Will there be compensation? Will there be a payment? I can only presume yes. But, like, you know, that's really not the point. What we're talking about here is the logistical steps that are happening. So it's like, you know, for me, looking at this stuff, we've got two things happening. We've got the political flim-flammer, right? The political flim-flammer of, like, you know, politicians and all this stuff, doing all this, blah, 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 and the military just going, yes, that. Like, and then you got all these politicians with their bravado and their flim-flammery, you know, and then the military is just saying, nope, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. And, like, it's just crazy. It is absolutely bonkers. So the head of the logistics outfit in Norway, his name is, hang on, I've got it here somewhere, General Anders Jernberg. What a fantastic, strong, powerful Nordic name. Very strong name. General Anders Jernberg. I am General Anders Jernberg. That's right, that's not the Norwegian accent. I am General Anders. I can't do the Norwegian accent. I've not been around Norwegian people for long enough. He didn't mince his words. He said the importance. I need to shake the gas bottle in a minute. He said the importance of preparing for a crisis, preparing for war, has increased dramatically in recent years. Norway, he says, is in the most serious security situation since the Second World War, sharing a border with Russia up in the Arctic, it's just shy of 200 kilometers, plus the sea frontier. NATO's northern flank right on the edge. And they are beefing up. They are, guys. The Norwegians are beefing up. Everywhere's beefing up. But here in the United Kingdom, we're still in absolute denial. We are. And it's quite funny. Look, I've got lots of friends I've got quite a lot of friends in Eastern Europe. When I left the military in, what year did I leave? Like 2011 or something. I genuinely thought I'd have more friends in the Middle East. But yeah, I've actually got more friends in Eastern Europe now. Anyway, so where was I going with that? Doesn't matter. Does not matter where Raven's going with that, because I'm giving you guys the lowdown. The lowdown is this: property requisitions, World War III, aliens, and potentially World War G. Jay, who cares? Ophelia has joined, and Paulie has joined as well on TikTok. And listen, you guys, I love you guys on TikTok. I am double streaming. I am over on YouTube. And if you've got something to say and you're on TikTok, go over to YouTube, because the chat's open and it's wild. It is absolutely wild, the chat today, guys. Let me just check on it now real quick. Make sure people are not spamming. Right, good. Making sure nobody's spamming. Listen, guys, if you're on YouTube right now, right, and you want to call me out on something, right, absolutely fine. I don't mind people calling me out on YouTube. Be polite. Don't be threatening, and don't swear. And I'll answer it, and we'll talk about things. And maybe I'm wrong. Highly unlikely, but maybe I'm wrong. So anyway, let me continue, ladies and gentlemen, because Norway are putting in wartime preparations, property requisitions. Now, can you imagine, right? Can you imagine, like, the government sending you a letter and saying, saying, hey, Raven, I like your house. If there's a wartime, if it's war, I'm taking your house. I'd be like, oh, okay, that's perfectly fine. You'd be a little bit like concerned, wouldn't you? Where are you going to go and stuff? So it is absolutely bonkers. We've got a load of bonkidity that's happening in the world right now. And Donna Prepper has become a YouTuber. I'm sure Donna was a member. Listen, thank you to all the members. I love you guys. You really do keep this channel going, honestly. Thank you so much for everybody who's becoming members. What was I going to say? I am going to start doing members only stuff. I keep saying I'm going to do this. Do you know what? Tomorrow is beer day. All right. Tomorrow's beer day. Tomorrow I'm going to make 100 liters, maybe even 110 liters of beer, lager, maybe, quite high strength lager. So tomorrow I'm going to be doing that exclusively for the YouTube. And I'm going to be putting those videos out there initially. Exclusively for the YouTube members. So for you guys, if you're considering becoming a member on YouTube, you want to know how to make beer, and you want to save yourself a ton of money, do you know what? I don't know. It might be worth you guys. Subscribing or becoming members, because I'm gonna give you guys some tips and secrets. I will put those videos on for everyone eventually, but you guys have become members. You guys will get that first. Right, let me jump. Oh, hang on. I've got... And Norman has sent 199, but I don't know why he sent that. I don't know why you sent that, Norman. Norman sent 199. Norman Stewart sent 199. I don't know why you're sending that. I think you may have missed whatever you were going to write under there, but whatever. Let's continue. Let's continue, ladies and gentlemen, like we are wraiths in the night, fastidiousing over the fantastic world in which we live, where day is night, night is day, up is down, and right is wrong, because the Norwegians are going into wartime preparations with property requisitions. And if you guys ask me nicely, I will talk about aliens maybe afterwards. So... As we just mentioned, Norway shares a just shy of 200 kilometers, actually, border with Russia. They're right on the northern flank. They are, guys, okay? They are beefing up. They're not alone. But Norway have been ramping up defences, pouring money into preparedness, readiness, civil contingencies, military contingencies. You know, there are exercises planned for next year. This is them getting their ducks in a row, making sure that if the balloon goes up or the balloon is burst or the beacons are lit, the beacons of Minas Tirith are lit. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? If the beacons of Minas Tirith are late, if you know what I'm talking about, put it in the chat. If the balloon goes up, basically, the armed forces aren't scrambling for trucks. They're not scrambling for warehouses. They're not trying to look around for ferries, homes to put troops or equipment, strategic locations where they can put airfields, radio masts, whatever. The Norwegians have this shit on lockdown. And look, guys, I wouldn't expect anything less from Norwegians. I do. Honestly, I've got like, you know, when you meet people. Okay, when I've met Americans, I've met more Americans, obviously. There's a big gauge in it. Kaz has sent a load of flowers on TikTok that I don't know if I'm going to do TikTok live only. Thank you, Kaz, for the flowers. When you meet people, right, you get like, you do pattern recognition, right? I do pattern recognition, you know. And when I meet Americans, I've met a lot more Americans, but there's a big pattern to do recognition, right? Actually, I don't think I know any Americans that who are not military. No, I don't actually know any Americans who are not military or ex-military, which is peculiar. Anyway, whatever. But like when I meet Americans, there's a big spectrum. There's like Americans who I feel are lacking in certain skills. And there are Americans who I would just like trust 100%. You guys are awesome, right? When it comes to the Norwegians, you know, I have had a smaller sampling with the Norwegians. The Norwegians, each and every Norwegian I've met have always been solid, dependable, reliable, and trustworthy. You know, literally, you know, and realists as well. So that's my opinion on Norwegians. All right, that's my opinion on Norwegians. Now, I hear you guys, you ladies and gentlemen who are in the United Kingdom. I know what you're thinking, right? You're thinking, Norway? I know you are. I know you guys are. You're thinking, Norway? That's miles away. That's like another country and stuff over some water. You know, it's far away. Dramatic fjords and, you know, Vikings and all that. But here's the thing that should make everybody in the United Kingdom pause. Like how I paused when I said pause. Everybody needs to pause now and really consider. As war, or at least the shadow of it, right, creeps closer, more extreme measures become normal. And that's the reality. You get this like, the tactical tiptoe, you know, and, that's a bit odd. Oh, 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 that's a bit odd. But if you did that full distance in one stride, you'd be like, oh, this is crazy. Stop. You know, it's the tactical tiptoe. It's the same thing that we saw in Ukraine, whereby initially the Russians invaded 2022. The main invasion, the real invasion happened. The first the invasion happened in 2014. Then the big invasion happened in follow-on invasion happened in 2022. Initially, Western allies were like, "Oh, okay, we're gonna support with sanctions." Kaz is giving more roses. Thank you so much, Kaz. We're going to support Ukraine with sanctions. Then we're going to support Ukraine with humanitarian aid. Then we're going to support Ukraine with limited military. Oh, I got the hell. I got the thing. I got the cowboy hat. I love that cowboy hat. And then we got, then it was like, oh, we're going to support the Ukrainians with non-lethal military aid, just helmets and body armor. And then we're going to support the Ukrainians with, you guys know where I'm going, right? To the end of it, we're giving them Challenger 2 tanks, F-16 fighter jets, and Storm Shadow missiles. You know, so these things happen slowly, like the alien disclosure. These things are happening slowly. So as the shadow of war moves closer, more extreme measures become normal. What starts as polite preparatory letters become requisitions or confiscations tomorrow if the Russian tanks roll. And look, I've done quite a few live streams about this, and I've talked about right now in Ukraine. The ground is ridiculously cold right now in Ukraine, and those Russian tanks could be rolling any day now, like literally any day now. I've floated the idea that this could be some sort of weather weapon, some sort of secret weather weapon. I know a couple of you guys in the chat, you're like, oh, Sean, that's impossible. You can't make it cold. Well, listen, I'm going to let you into a little secret. 20 years ago, if I'd have said, can people make it rain? You'd have said, oh, Sean, it's impossible. People can't make it rain. Turns out you really can. And it's quite easy. The technology is very rudimental. So anyway, the ground is frozen hugely right now in Ukraine. And it could be literally today, tomorrow, any day right now. The ground right now in Ukraine is perfect for Russian tanks to surge forwards. That's the reality, and that could happen any day now. Excuse me. So if the tanks roll, what seems like what seems over the top in peacetime looks like prudent planning in wartime, right? You know, when those sirens start to alert, when those sirens start to come, you will be happy that all this stuff's in place. You really will, guys, okay? We've seen it before. We have. In the United Kingdom, in wartime Britain, they requisitioned homes for evacuees, land for airfields, cars for the Home Guard. It's not tyranny. Although some of you guys will think it is. It's not tyranny. It's survival. But it only happens when there is a real threat. That's kind of why I'm bringing that to everybody's forefront right now. These things only happen, you know, they only happen when there's a real threat, and that threat feels close. Norway and you know, the Norwegians are acting now as they are. They're not panicking. They're preparing methodically, legally, and they're telling people up front, which I think is very sensible. I think it's the right way to do it. But we've got to understand, when we see these things, when we see these big government movements, you've got to understand the underlying threat. You've got to understand the underlying issue. Listen, guys, let me share this with you guys real quick. I'll share this with you guys real quick so you know what I'm talking about, because I'm just conscious I was waffling then and you guys don't even know what I'm talking about. So Norway advising citizens of preparations for wartime property requisitions. Now, this is an article from Euronews. It was released today at like 1:27 GMT. So whatever time that is, wherever you are. So this is the article I'm talking about. and this is like the first part of my live stream. And again, I may go on to aliens shortly, I may not. So the next time, literally, guys, honestly, like, and I've been saying, like, how long have I been saying this is coming? And I've been documenting the movements towards global conflict on an industrial scale. So the next time you hear someone dismiss the headlines about Russia, NATO, the Arctic, or the buildup in the north, remember, those letters landing on Norwegian doormats, polite, sensible reminders that freedom and property are wonderful. They are. Freedom and property are wonderful until the alternative is losing your country altogether. Enter land pirates. People are not ready for land pirates, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody. I'm the only person. I am. Me, little old me. I am the only person on the internet at the moment who is talking about land pirates. And I've been talking about this since maybe like October last year, maybe even September, I don't know. You know, I've been talking about land pirates. I'm not going to go into it now because I've done quite a few videos on it. I've done quite a few standalone videos on it. We are going to see land pirates hit Europe, maybe even Norway, maybe Finland, maybe Poland. But I guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, okay, land pirates are going to hit Europe. That's just the reality. It's quicker, it's cheaper, it's easier. And you know, and militaries around the world are just not ready for it. So like I said there, you know, freedom and property are wonderful until the alternative means losing your country altogether. And that's where we are right now, guys. And as the world gets more edgier, and as the world gets more crazier, expect more of this. More lists, more plans, more just-in-case measures. Because when war grows closer, extreme measures don't feel like they're extreme anymore. They feel like they're necessary. And people will be screaming out for them. And that's where we are right now in the United Kingdom, in Europe, in the world. Right, let me jump onto the chat. You guys on TikTok, I'm going to be closing you guys down pretty soon. I'll be closing you guys down pretty soon, even though you guys are fantastic. I know you guys are fantastic on TikTok, which is there. You guys on TikTok are there, right? This has got Viking vibes. Oh, I feel like my blue eyes and my direct descendant and my direct lineage from the Viking hordes that moved to the United Kingdom in the 11th century. I feel like I should have. I feel like I've got Viking blood in me. I've just not sent my thing off to that. You know that, what is it? 45 and me or whatever it is. What is it? You know the thing where you take a DNA sample and you send it off? I'm like, not a chance. Not a chance is Raven sending his DNA off. James is saying, I reckon because Trump has basically dropped Europe like a sack of poo, Europe are looking for a way out of Ukraine. No, I don't think that's happening at all. I think what's happening is the inevitable. And look, like over 2 years ago, I told everybody this would happen. I said you would see this diversions. I said you would see the United States going into the Middle East and the United Kingdom leading in Eastern Europe against the Russians in Ukraine, which is literally exactly what's happening now. This is an inevitability. This sort of stuff has to happen. In response to James' comment here, I reckon because Trump has basically dropped Europe like a sack of poo, Europe are looking for a way out of Ukraine. Okay, the Europeans are not looking out for a way out of Ukraine. They can't get out of Ukraine now. It's impossible. Blame Zelensky, job done. Back in what was the year? I don't know. The war in Iraq, war in Afghanistan, whether they were wars, whether they were, you know, special military operations. I don't know what they're called. I went to both of them. I spent a lot of time in both of those countries. Those operations, those wars, whatever you want to call them. One thing that's very relevant came out of those wars. First of all, if you divide your forces, but you double your enemies. So now you have half the potency, but double the enemies, right? Because that's what happens. It's like divide and conquer, but you're doing it yourself. You're dividing yourself. You're dividing yourself, and then you're doubling your enemies. So, for example, 2006, whatever, 2006, right? The US military was heavily involved in Afghanistan and they were heavily involved in Iraq. They divided their forces, right? So now they were gaining enemies from Iraq and enemies from Afghanistan. That's the reality, right? You're fighting a war in that country, you're going to get enemies, okay? It served no purpose. It was counterproductive. The whole thing was counterproductive. So what I feel, well, you know what, not what I feel, what is happening now is behind closed doors, maybe a couple of years ago, whoever, certainly not Keir Starmer, but they've come to a conclusion and they said, right, okay, we need to go into Iran and we need to deal with the Russians. How do we do this? So the Americans have said, right, okay, we've got all the logistics, we've got all the manpower, we can send a task group to Iran. Britain, do you have any amphibious landing craft? No. Germany, do you have any amphibious landing craft? No. France? No. Poland? No. Does anyone in Europe have any amphibious landing craft? No. Right. Okay. So you guys are out the question, right? There's no point you guys getting involved. It's gonna ruin the broth, right? So the Americans unilaterally with Israel have said, right, okay, we'll deal with the Middle East, right? We will go into the Middle East and we will deal with that shit. We got that shit down on lock, right? You hearing me, fam? One time. So that's what's happened there. And in response, the Europeans have said, right, okay, well, in that case, we need to deal with the Russians in Ukraine because we don't have that logistics to support you, and you guys shouldn't really be coming over here sending your logistics. It makes no sense. So logistically, logistically, culturally, it makes sense for this to happen. Now, for that to happen militarily, you need the political environment. And the political environment is what we are seeing now. It's flim-flammer, it's smoke and mirrors. I can guarantee the people who are really making the decisions behind the scenes, the military, the military-industrial complex, the financial institutions, the British and the Americans, they're like, I don't think there's anybody closer on lockdown. Really, I don't think there is. They work so, here's an example of how closely the British and Americans work. Before Edward Snowden or whatever, there was, this is how it used to work, right? So there was GCH, there's lots of these acronyms. Okay, the intelligence, allegedly, for you guys on TikTok, this is for entertainment purposes, and this video is not to be taken as real. This is all just hypothetical, okay? So, before Snowden did his whistleblowing thing, there was some laws passed where the in the United States and in the United Kingdom, where the intelligence service of America could not spy, phone tap, or do anything to people in America without a warrant, basically. And the same thing happened in the United Kingdom. You know, in the United Kingdom, they were not allowed to phone tap, listening to people's communications, read their text messages or whatever without a warrant. So what do you think happened? It's time for a switcheroo. Oh, damn. What is it, dog? I forgot it's Mother's Day. Didn't get a gift for her. Other plans got in my way. Sorry. I've been listening to Justin Timberlake. So what happened was there was literally just a switcheroo. The Americans said to the British, hey, Brits, can you guys listen into these people? Yes. Right. Who do you want to listen into? And then the British said to the Americans, can you guys listen into those people? And he was like, yes. Okay, then can you just like email me the information? He was like, yes. So that's how closely the British and American militaries and intelligence services work together. You know, it is. That's what it is. And all this stuff we're seeing now, it is just smoke and mirrors. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm going to jump onto the chat in a second. I'm going to focus on the chat a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to go into aliens today, but I do know one thing. In 4 minutes, I am going to be closing you guys down on TikTok. Oh, hang on. Kaz on TikTok is saying the law changed on the 1st of January. The government intelligence service are listening in and reading everyone's messages. Oh, I didn't realize that, Kaz, but thank you for the update, Kaz, you fantastic person. So listen, guys, you guys on TikTok, I will be closing you guys down in like 4 minutes, 3 minutes or something. If you guys want to continue the live stream, I am going to be over on YouTube. I am going to get myself a slightly acidic carbonated drink. I'm going to get myself a slightly acidic carbonated drink. But tomorrow it's beer day. But look, guys, if you want to jump over to YouTube, I'm a Real Raven 1 on YouTube. I will continue this live stream. It'll be a little bit, I won't have to mind my P's and Q's. We will continue this on live stream on YouTube. So if you want to jump over there, I'm the Real Raven 1. Right. You guys, it's Lewis Ackers is saying yeast feast. These are Lewis Ackers. He loves a yeast feast, does Lewis Ackers. Look, tomorrow, for the members, for the YouTube members tomorrow, I am going to be doing yeast feast tutorials. I'm going to be making, tomorrow, I'm going to be making like 100, maybe 110 liters. I think 110 liters, maybe 100 liters at least. 100 liters of high strength beer. And I'm going to do some tutorials on that. And that's going to save everybody an absolute ton of money. Zoe Dean is saying, imagine the Americans, if Trump takes the UK, they already think they're the bee's knees because they got independence and threw our tea into the Boston Harbor. Well, I think when we get to that stage, I think we're all going to be calling for it. We really are. I think we're all going to be calling for it. Daniel Prince is saying, what timeline are we looking for all this to happen, Sean? What are we talking about, Daniel? What are we talking? I don't. Can you give me more? Can you give me more on the question, please? I don't know what we talk. I don't know what timeline we're talking about. I'll try and answer the question as generically as I can. So Daniel Prince 3991 is saying, what timeline are we looking for all this to happen? Well, first of all, you've got to look at election cycles because everything comes from election cycles. It really does. And right now in the United Kingdom, okay, if we're looking at Europe, the United Kingdom, the Ukraine, that conflict, this all has to be done, sealed up, and a done deal before the next election. That's just what I would speculate. Now, if you look at how things are moving, if you look at how things are moving on the front line in Ukraine, and people think things move fast. They don't move fast at all. They move really slow. But when the military get involved, and this is what you're seeing these two parallel functions, basically. You're seeing two parallel functions. You're seeing the political show that is flim flammer, it's smoke, it's pageantry, it's meaningless speeches, and then the military just pop up and say, yeah, we're doing that, and it happens like straight away. So the timelines we're looking for, let's work backwards. Let's say that this has to be in place for 2029. That would mean that 2028, 2027, and 2026 need to move really quickly. I think this month, before the end of February, right? Before the end of February, I think you're going to see a massive land grab by the Russians. Why am I saying that? The weather, the ground is absolutely perfect right now. Like, you couldn't make this up, guys. Like, if the Russians were to pray to whoever they pray to, and if the Russians were to dictate the perfect ground right now in Ukraine, this is it. Right now, as I'm speaking to you guys, right now, the ground in Ukraine is absolutely perfect for a massive Russian drive forwards. So I do think that has to happen before March, basically. That has to happen before March. If you leave it afterwards, the weather's going to thaw, and the ground right now in Ukraine, guys, honestly, I've got friends out there, and one of my friends was telling me that there's 6 feet of ice. So imagine the mud, right? Imagine the mud on a field, right? You know, when it gets really cold, you get like a little bit of ice or like a little bit of frost or whatever. There is 6 feet of that now in Ukraine. So there's a 6-foot ice pack that those tanks can drive straight across. So the first time in, I would say, a massive Russian land grab before March. That's what I'm saying, guys. Massive Lushan? What's Lushan? I don't know. I don't know what Lushan is. Massive Russian land grab before March. I got there in the end. Right, listen, you guys, you fantastic people on TikTok. I am going to close you down now. If you guys want to continue this live stream, I'm over on YouTube on the Real Raven 1, and you are most welcome. You're most welcome to throw a comment and do some swizzling, get involved. You'd be most welcome. But if not, I will see you guys in the morning at 10. And Dobra Bachnia and Dobra Noche. Right, let me turn these guys off. And hopefully I won't drop my phone and I won't snap my finger. Close these guys down. They are off. I think they're off anyway. Yeah, they're off. Right, let's see what happens. Right, it's really difficult getting my phone out of there. I think I may need to change that or something. Right, let me see what else we've got. Right, I'm just... What regiment? Raven in. Patriot D2L. Okay, listen. Patriot D2L. I understand that English may not be your first language, or if it is, you struggle to put a sentence together. But Patriot D2L, with all due respect, if you could I think I know what you're trying to ask, but the reality is there's no question marks. There's 2 spaces after Raven. There's a word that I don't understand. So with all due respect, Patriot D2L, can you go and have a look at a dictionary? You know, maybe even ask AI, come back with nice kind words, and I may or may not answer your question. Patriot D2L. I love all Patriots. He's got a little picture of 2 Templar Knights. He's got and he's just saying, tell me. He's just saying, tell me. Patriot D2L. I can neither confirm nor deny any military experience that I may or may not have had. And Patriot D2L. Tell you what, I could tell you about aliens. You want to know about aliens? Does Patriot D2L want to know about aliens? Because I've got a whole monologue planned about aliens. I was going to save it until tomorrow. Patriot D2L, I was going to save it until tomorrow. But, I can give you guys an aliens monologue now. Oh, I love Patriot D2L. Right, anyway, listen, let me speak to the adults. Let me speak to the adults in the room. James is saying, if the UK, Germany and France go to war with Russia with hollowed out militaries, our forces are much braver than I thought. Yeah, that's the thing about the military. And it's to their detriment. It's to their detriment, They will always say yes. They will always say yes, and that's not always it is always a positive. But sometimes it's counterproductive, right? Because when you say, right, we got this shit on lock, and you go up there and the Russians are producing 150 tanks a month and you've got 150 stock and you can't produce anymore, you kind of understand the direction of travel, right? So, yes, I get that. But, let's not forget that the Ukrainians are still going to be on the ground. This is going to be a wild time, guys. It really is. It's going to be absolutely wild. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you're joining for the first time, I'm telling you guys right now about the terrifying warning. Wartime preparations are in place. Property requisitions, or as I like to call it, property confiscations have been announced in Norway. And I know if you guys are living in the United Kingdom, you guys think this doesn't matter. But look, as we move forwards and we get this totalitarian TikTok, as we get this, the tactical tiptoe moving forward slowly and slowly, you know, the things that seem out of context 12 months ago, the things that seem out of context like a year ago, which is 12 months, 6 months ago, it all starts to become relevant, and you start to see these things not as scaremongering, but as prudent planning. Now, look, I'm not going to go onto it now. I'm not. I am absolutely right now not going to go onto it right now. What I'm just going to do is share this with you real quick, okay? And it is about aliens. It's about aliens, all right? So I'm going to do a 12 o'clock live stream on this tomorrow. My 12 o'clock live streams normally are things that are not within, you know, what we normally talk about: war, civil war, things that are happening on the streets, run, hide, fight, you know, preparedness in the United Kingdom. But this is wild. This is absolutely, oh gosh, what have I done? What's happening there? This is the headline here. Sorry about the ads, guys. This is a headline. ETs exist. 95% of educated people believe in alien life. So I read this article earlier, and right at the beginning of this live stream, I called it out. I said that very soon we are going to get an alien disclosure. Something's going to happen, and we are going to have, whether it's true or not, I don't know. But we are going to have people coming up saying that we are not alone in the universe, and maybe, just maybe, there is something heading towards Earth, and we all need to come together. We all need to come together and unite and stop our bickering among each other. Right. Right. Let me jump up and get the chat, guys. Oh, guys, there's loads of comments. Right. I'm going to jump down to the bottom. Yatagarasu is saying Operation Bluebeam. Yeah, I totally get that. Look, guys, I'll be quite clear. I don't know if it is Operation Bluebeam. So Operation Bluebeam is a proposed military operation where they fake an alien invasion to unite the people of Earth, to come together, to form a one world government, to fight the aliens, and then we are all under a one world government. I don't know if that's true. I don't know. I know the theory. This may be the theory. This may not be the theory. But what I know is, what I'm pretty confident is, we are going to get an alien in. We're probably going to get an alien disclosure very soon. Right, let me jump up and get the comments. The sheep. Hang on. Do you know what? That is a fantastic Jollyman. That needs to go in a Jollyman. That needs to go on a t-shirt. I need to start doing t-shirts. Jollyman. Honestly, Jollyman, I don't know if you've commented before, but you just popped out here and you knocked that out of the park. The Jollyman is saying the sheep spent its life scared of the wolf, but was eaten by the shepherd. Jesus, that is powerful. That's powerful, dude. That is absolutely powerful. You know, it's quite poignant for me as well, because when I talk to the girls, or when I talk to people, you know, I always use the sheep and the shepherd. You know, I always use the sheep and the shepherd as an analogy for people on Earth. You know, oh, the shepherd's so good, right? The shepherd's looking after us. The shepherd comes and brings us food. The shepherd, he puts this nice fence around us to keep us safe. Oh, the shepherd does this. Oh, where are those sheep going? Oh, they're going to sheep heaven. They're going away to the sheep paradise. Oh, they're the special chosen sheep. Why could this not be happening to humanity? What a fantastic comment. I wish I could pin that as the top comment. That is the top comment from tonight, the Jollyman. Martin is saying, bah. KK is saying, I wonder if the Spanish trail derailment may be sabotage, RIP to the victims. I looked at this. I did look at this, and I thought, could this be sabotage? First of all, right, I don't know. I feel it would be unlikely to be sabotage because it was trains actually hitting each other as opposed to trains coming off the track. So to get a train to come off the track, it's relatively easy, right? You put a piece of metal or something on the track, and then the train goes over, and it's game over. Wasn't this two trains hitting each other? I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Jordan is saying, exactly, my friend. This is the same story we have been told for decades, near hundreds of years, exactly the same thing, unless you do your research, of course. Right, listen, when I started this live stream, I needed a wee. And right now, I'm absolutely blasting out for a wee. So can you guys just hold on for 2 minutes, 1 minute, less than a minute? Can you guys hold on for less than a minute while I run to the toilet? I'm going to have a wee, and then I'm going to jump right back with an acidic carbonated drink made from apples. Oh, just getting my glass. So I'm just getting my, this is like 9% cider. I think it actually qualifies as apple wine, but it's carbonated, so we're calling it cider. Right, listen, let me jump up. Ollie Edwards is saying, how's the shelter hunt going? Right, okay, I thought everyone knew. So we got told when we moved into the house, we got told that we had the communal bunker from the Second World War in the garden, right? So I've honestly, like, the amount of time, money, effort, and resources I've spent trying to find this bunker in the garden, it's unbelievable. So I was digging, I found bricks, and then I scraped off the bricks. And when I scraped off the bricks, we looked at the bricks, and it said, I can't remember. It was like, I can't remember what it said on the bricks, but when I Googled the name of the brick, you look at that brick and it said these bricks were predominantly used in wartime constructions in the Second World War. I was like, oh my God, this is it. We found it. There was huge pieces of concrete in the garden. Long story short, in the 1960s, the house, there was a massive storm in the United Kingdom. And our house got hit by a bolt of lightning. Now, I've always wondered why. I've been up into the loft and I've been doing some work on it, and I've always wondered why there's like a massive, you know how your rafters go up like that? There's like a massive piece of the top plate missing. I've always like, why would that even be a thing? Anyway, it turns out in the 60s there was a massive storm in the United Kingdom. Our house got hit. I wasn't there. Got hit by lightning. it sent a crack down the house. So the whole house got a crack down it. It was wild. And the cellar started to subside, water started to come in, and the house started to sink. So the builders came in, right? There was a massive insurance payout. The builders came in and they said, right, we need a shitload of shit. So they said, well, there's a bunker in the garden. So what they did is they chiseled up the bunker because it had like thick concrete, and they used the concrete from the bunker to underpin the house. So now it's an absolute kick in the balls. So I've got a tiny little basement and no bunker in the garden. Totally gay. Totally gay. I feel like, I feel like Owen Jones. I love Owen Jones. Owen Jones is great, isn't he? He's the gift that keeps giving. So yes, as far as that's going, that's what's happened. Defo stole that chair from a pub. What? My captain's chair? No, I didn't steal this from a pub. Lisa Jane is saying, GB News are reporting that Labour's U-turn, I think she means cost, 82 billion. Right now, right now, money doesn't even matter anymore, does it? Let's be honest. Let's be honest, guys, okay? Right now, money does, is anybody like 100 billion, a trillion, 500 trillion, a billion trillion? Like, it's just crazy stuff, right? It's just crazy stuff. It does seem that we are in the United Kingdom, at least, we are in an absolute death spiral. We are. We're in an absolute death spiral. We're going down. And the only thing that I feel could save Britain, paradoxically, would be a war. Honestly, paradoxically, I think the only thing that could save Britain right now would be a war. Because with a war, world wars change worlds. And right now we need big change. And that's just not going to happen. That's just not going to happen without the change that is needed in the United Kingdom is not going to happen without a French style revolution or a world war. Galloway Raider is saying, I don't place any value on money in any currency. Yeah, all currencies are going, well, look, this is not financial advice, all right? This is not financial advice, all right? If you take a loan now and buy stuff, you're trying, okay, right, stop that, right? Forget what I just said, right? If a person thinks that an economic crisis is coming, right? A savvy person would take a loan, buy assets, real stuff, whatever that assets is, real stuff. And then once the currency devalues, those assets are worth more than the initial loan. Do you understand where I'm going with that? The Jollyman is saying, Einstein stole the equations light constant from Shiva Ramanjam, who experienced a godly encounter from an angel. Extraterrestrials, the custodians who control the test realms. The Jollyman, you're going to have to give me more context on that, mate. That sounds like an Indian name. You're going to have to give me more context on that, mate. Blunted is saying, it's a dick camp in Europe. Whose dick is biggest? Currently, I think Europe is going flat. It is crazy, it is crazy what's happening in Europe at the moment. I don't think the Europeans, I don't even know how. I don't even know the words to. I don't even know what words to use. I don't believe the Europeans will defeat Russia. They can, but they won't. What I mean by that is they have the finances, they have the manpower, they have the equipment, but they are lacking the will. They're lacking the will to do all that is necessary. Jerry Stewart is saying alien talk. Are we going here? Look, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time now for aliens, guys. Look, let me just throw this out there right now. There was an article released today. And this is terrifying, okay? I'm going to talk more about this tomorrow at like 12. I've been coming, I don't know if you guys have noticed, I've been coming on midday and I've been talking about things that are a little bit weird at 12 o'clock. So there was an article released today in the Daily Mail, and the headline is, I quote, sorry, yesterday, the headline is, I quote, ET exists, exclamation mark. 95% of educated people believe in alien life. That would mean that if you don't believe in alien life, you're uneducated. But they won't admit it to their friends or family. So if you've got a sneaking suspicion that they're made, look, one of the reasons I don't work for like Boeing or one of the big defense manufacturers. I used to do this. I used to go and consult for these, especially Boeing, and I got bored of it. It was boring, guys. It's boring, and you think defense manufacturing is like, oh god, it's so exciting. It's life and death. It's not. It's gay. It's absolute, because they're not bothered about innovating. They're not bothered about innovating. They're bothered about sales. And the problem we have in defense manufacturing, it's not profitable to innovate. So it's not profitable to create new stuff. So someone like me, who's a natural innovator, there's no use for me. There's no need for me. They want people who can produce more of the same, right? And one of it, like, you know, I used to come in there. We used to have like these little like round tables and stuff with, you know, subject matter experts, which I was one of, and I would just start talking about aliens straight away. And you know, nobody wants to talk about it, but the reality is these things are now hitting the mainstream. They're hitting the mainstream more and more often. And I think the terrifying truth is that we are very close to some sort of alien disclosure, whether that's aliens are heading towards Earth, whether that is aliens have been here for a while, or what, I don't know what it is. When I see these little things poking up, I'll let you guys know. But remember, can you guys remember like 2 years ago or whatever it was when I said to you guys, I said, look, I'm seeing a path forwards right now where the United States takes over the United Kingdom. I was like, I don't know. I don't exactly know the meat and the bones. I don't know how it's going, but I said that to you. And I got a lot of pushback. People said, oh, Sean, that's crazy talk. You must be insane. Turns out, if you ask that question now, people in the United Kingdom are screaming out for it. The Jollyman is saying extraterrestrials are real, easier to understand when you can conceive real reality. What's real reality? Jollyman, you can't tease us with that. You need to give us more real reality. That's interesting. So Yatagarasu is saying white people have been accused of being aliens as we are far from the animalistic nature of Earth. Um, one of the okay, so if you guys let's rewind the Earth, right? Let's rewind the Earth back to like 11,500 years ago, right? In the Younger Dryas period, it's quite well documented that there was a huge cataclysm on Earth. This is when Atlantis is supposed to have been swizzled, right? And Atlantis is supposed to have been wiped off the map. Now, hear me out, right? You know how I say in a lot of live streams that there's going to be a mass exodus of Western culture to Antarctica because that's the only place we've got to go. That's literally the only safe haven. What if this already happened before? What if there was already a mass exodus of Atlantean technology, Atlantean culture to Antarctica 11,500 years ago? 11,500 years ago. Can you imagine what the technology, and again, you know, the Atlanteans' technology. So the myth of Atlantis is the Atlanteans had the power of flight. They were a technologically advanced civilization. So can you imagine what their technology looks like now? Would you call it alien? Would you call it alien? Would you say that flying saucers and UAPs could be Atlantean technology? Because let's face it, Antarctica is a very peculiar place. Nobody's allowed to go down there. Nobody's allowed to explore. Nobody is allowed to do anything in Antarctica. Is it beyond the realms of possibility? Doesn't that sound more feasible that there is an ancient civilization living in Antarctica? It's the Atlanteans who fled 11,500 years ago after the Great Cataclysm. They continue to develop their technology. Does it sound that far-fetched? Does it sound that far-fetched? Googleinos is saying DWP, Department of Work and Pensions, details plans to launch new benefit for unemployed people. I thought that... Oh, let me Google this. Okay, so this is from 24 minutes ago. A new benefit was initially proposed in Labour's welfare reforms last year, 10th in unemployment insurance. The Department of Work and Pensions has now revealed a bit more about the what the contributory benefit could look like. Unemployed insurance Is anyone still on? Is anyone still on? What just happened? Right, listen, I don't know what just happened then. For some reason, when I click some websites, like I literally just click the mirror, it just kicks me off, right? It kicks me off and I have to reset my computer, and it's an absolute faff. So I've not been taken by aliens. The Russians didn't come and sweep me away. Keir Starmer didn't find out where I am finally and interrupt my broadcast. But listen, nothing's been blocked, nothing's been censored. Sometimes when I open some websites, you know, when I just look at them, for some reason my computer, it doesn't like it with the cookies, and it doesn't like it when I'm streaming on StreamYard, and for some reason it just doesn't work. You know, for some reason it just doesn't work. Anyway, right, listen, I am going to close this down now. The crux of this live stream, for you guys who've stuck around, Oh, so Google Enos is saying, what did you think of the article? So the article we're talking about is there's a new DWP benefit. It's called like work insurance. And I actually think it's a good thing. Guys. So again, I didn't really get that much time to look at the article before it froze and everything went down. But my rudimentary analysis of it is that basically right now, if you've worked all your life, if you've worked for 20 years, right, and you've paid into the tax system, paying constantly, and you find yourself unemployed, you get the same amount of money as somebody who's never worked. And I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair. So what this new benefit is, if you've worked and contributed more to the system, you will get more out of the system, which I think is a good thing. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close this down now. Dobra noche, dobra bachenie. Sabak al khair, sabak al noon. That's the morning, actually. I will be back tomorrow morning, guys, and I think tomorrow. In fact, I know tomorrow afternoon I'm gonna do 3 live streams tomorrow, because I didn't really touch on the aliens today. I mean, you know, I did touch on aliens a little bit today. I didn't really go in depth about what this actually means. Now, there's huge disclosures happening at the moment. It's absolutely bonkers. And I do think, and I said this right at the beginning, I'm going to say this now before I go. I do think we are being primed for World War G, as in World War Galactic. I do. I think we're being primed for that, as crazy as it sounds, as wild as it sounds. I've said wild stuff before and it's become real. So that's what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to close this down now. Tomorrow morning, I'll be back on in... Google Leaders to say someone in the comments said BBC license enforcement team raided your house. I don't know. Maybe they have. The house is quite a distance away. So I'm going to close this down now, guys. I will be back on tomorrow morning at 10. I'll be talking about normal politics. I'll be talking about wars. I'll be talking about immigration. I'll be talking about things that are happening that are going to affect you right here and now. But also tomorrow afternoon at 12, I think I'm going to be back on it. I'm going to do like a bit of an aliens one, and I'm going to give a deep dive into that, because some people take it with a pinch of salt. Some people don't think it's real. I don't know, guys. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close this down now. You guys, as always, have been fantastic. You are fantastic. I bid you all good evening. Oh, and Patriot just sent a super. Patriot DL, I think he's saying sorry. I think Patriot D2L is saying sorry. He's saying, listen, bro, I got you. You're legit, he's saying. Patriot D2L is saying, listen, Raven, you are legit. I got you. I understand you're the real deal. And you know what? Thank you. I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. He's saying it's for your beer. He's saying it's for your beer. Where's he saying? He's saying it's for your beer. Listen, tomorrow, right, for the members, I will be doing like quite a few members only, and I will release these to everybody in time. But I'm going to do I'm going to do a video tomorrow teaching people how to make their own like alcohol, basically. It's really easy. Sugar and yeast, sugar, yeast, and water. That's all you need, and a bit of flavorings. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I am gonna close this down now. I keep saying that, don't I? I am gonna close this down now. You guys have been fantastic. Patriot D2L, you've been extra fantastic with a big super. But I will close this down now. I'll be back on tomorrow morning at 10. I bid everybody good evening, and thanks for hanging around. I'll see you in the morning.